for joining us. Welcome to it. This is the Camnet TV Breakfast Show on Tuesday, and I'm your host, Nelson Zulu. I'm not alone in the studio. I'm joined by my colleague, Vincent Piri. But without even going into the much details of what you may look out for in terms of today's edition of the Breakfast Show, let's get to look at the Health Corner, and we get to see what the doctors do have for us this morning. Health Corner, and we get to see what the doctors do have for us this morning.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. And so this week we are talking about fibroids. And yesterday we talked about what are fibroids. We defined what fibroids are. We say these are benign tumors that occur in the uterus. So benign tumors meaning that they are tumors but they are not cancerous. So these are growths that are found in the uterus or around the uterus. So today we want to understand what are some of the causes, or how do these fibroids come about. So it's not very well known exactly what happens or how these fibroids come about. Most of the scientists have failed to understand exactly how fibroids come about. But it has been found that there are some genetic compositions that certain people would have that would predispose them to having fibroids. And so if you have a family history, somebody in your family that has had fibroids, whether it's your parents or aunties that have had fibroids in the past, then you could also be at risk of having fibroids. So other things that increase your risk of having fibroids are your age. So mostly women who are between the ages of 40 and to 50 are the ones who usually get these fibroids. But also, even younger women who have just started their menstrual cycles, even as young as 20 years old, they might start having fibroids. So it just depends also if you have a family history, a strong family history of somebody who has had fibroids, you can easily get fibroids. The other thing that predisposes people to have these fibroids is their diet. So if you do not eat foods that are high in fiber, especially people who eat red meat. So red meat has been found that it's a very it's a very high risk for you to get fibroids. So people who eat a lot of red meat, that is beef, pork, and other red meats, they are at risk of having fibroids because of the saturated fats that these foods contain. So these are some of the risk factors that people with fibroids would have. And so if you know that your diet is not okay, you eat a lot of saturated fats, especially red meat, and even these processed foods, if you eat foods that have a lot of sugar, you are increasing your risk of developing fibroids. Then also, if you have a strong family history, make sure that you know exactly if there's anybody in your family that has had these fibroids, then you are also at a risk of having fibroids. And so it's important that you can check yourself in the hospital, make sure you go for checkups to check if there are any masses or tumors growing in your uterus, because there are complications that can arise from having these fibroids. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how the fibroids are diagnosed in the hospital and treated. What are the treatment options that are there for people who have fibroids? So make sure that you watch tomorrow's episode as well. Today we talked about how it comes about, and we say that usually it's genetic. So people who have a strong family history can develop fibroids, and also age, women who are 40 to 50 years old can have fibroids, and also diet. So if your diet has got a lot of saturated fats and a lot of sugars as well, you can develop fibroids. So I do hope you have learned something. If you want to watch more or other episodes of the Health Corner, make sure that you also check out my YouTube channel at Dr. Nakuyana Mfayasiameka on YouTube, and you'll be able to find all this information that we share here on the Breakfast Show. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Stay healthy.
There you have it. That is Dr. Nakuyana Mufaya giving insight when it comes to issues or causes of fibroids, and we do appreciate for that insight topic, if you ask me, and I'm sure that you learned one or two things. But right about now, let's go into the money market and look at how the kwacha is faring against the major convertibles. The United States dollar buying at 26 kwacha 0.95 ingwe and selling at 27 kwacha 0.48 ingwe. The euro is buying at 28 kwacha 0.96 ingwe, selling at 29 kwacha 0.53 ingwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 0.42 ingwe, selling at 1 kwacha 0.44 ingwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 33 kwacha 0.84 ingwe and selling at 34 kwacha 0.51 ingwe. And these updates are exactly at 0743. And I'm meant to believe there's a slight change in terms of the kwacha dollar performance. Yeah, does it mean that the statutory reserve ratio that was increased to 26.0% from 17.0% is making wonders?
We are yet to see.
You're yet to see?
Yeah, I don't think I can say much on my end.
But how is your morning so far? Let's start it from there.
Wow. Not bad. But again, not good.
I don't know if that was a very difficult question for Vincent to respond to. He looked to have been cornered to some extent. So
I was trying to find the meaning of how is the morning today. I don't know in what context you are trying to.
Yeah, but you got to expect anything. I mean, that's why I'm here, right? Okay, in case you're joining us, this is the Tuesday edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. We're coming live to you via our DSTV channel 274, Go TV channel 25, as well as Top Star channel 106. Not forgetting YouTube as well as Facebook. You can give us those comments as well as giving the phone calls in terms of the stories that we're going to be looking at, as well as the discussion that we shall jump in at a particular time. The numbers are going to be scrolling on your screen, and you get to utilize that opportunity to get in touch with us and get interactive. We want to hear from you in terms of what your perspective on a particular issue is. And at this juncture, we move into the zooming headline segment, where we get to look at a story done by one of our staffer, where drivers operating from Kulima Tower bus station in Lusaka say they will maintain the fares despite the fuel increment due to competition. Kulima Tower bus station chairman Nicholas Banda says the station will maintain the fare chart for all routes. And Mr. Banda has appealed to government and the Energy Regulation Board to consider having quarterly fuel reviews as opposed to monthly ones. We get to look at that story, and we'll be back on the other side.
The Energy Regulation Board, January 31st, adjusted the fuel pump prices for the month of February 2024. ERB increased the price of fuel to 32 kwacha 15 ingwe from the 29 kwacha 96 ingwe for diesel and 34 kwacha 19 ingwe from 29 kwacha 98 ingwe for petrol per liter. Amidst the fuel increment, bus drivers at the Kulima Tower bus station have maintained the previous fare charges due to competition. Speaking in an interview, bus station chairman Nicholas Banda says the fares at Kulima Tower will be maintained, but has called on the Energy Regulation Board to review the fuel pump price quarterly and not monthly as it affects businesses.
Although wanaikirako ise Kulima Tower stizaikira mutengo watu niamela za hot fares. Simamene guys. So stizaikira muno mutengo ni hot fares. Then futi tipempako kuti wa government system yoikirako olo kuchoserako after 1 month olo kuikirako 1 month waireke. At least ngavuna kuchoserako wa government wakachoserako after 6 months olo ngavuna kuikirako wakazika after 6 months. Chuka business imaluvana.
And Jimmy Mwene, a bus driver, tells this journalist that the 1 kwacha increment for local routes is too little for a fare charge increment, owing to the fact that stations compete with contravening buses who carry passengers at a cheaper cost. While another driver is calling on the road traffic police to regulate buses operating from outside the station to operate from a reasonable distance from the station.
Coin muloko. So kufaka coin is nayo wanamunga ti wakulimonga Kulima Tower. Utisapishe customers watu. Tinayo wanachati tisafagirekwa. Yes. Was there's too much contravening. Contravening, for example, like 10 miles. Anganyamule muntu wakati 10 kwacha, but the station is 18 kwacha. So tuwana tukafakilako futi. Contravening atengema angatichimfi ba contravening.
Advise them because what tengera bantu just 100 meters from the station vayimirira batu and vayimirira even pakati pa road.
Meanwhile, Patson Mwale, a Lima Tower bus station driver, has encouraged commuters to use the station as it is safer and secure for them.
Advantage yokwera mu station o passenger akasovesa katundu ayibala katundu imapezeka imaoneka timasunga pamaleta driver ngaisasa ezanyamula passenger then passenger ayibala katundu kumangala aleta kuli wa buku abwera katundu ipenza mazo pa station pato wana siya ka bucket ka safu 3 days wanabwera wanaipeza safu. So ndi advantage mulodi ukakwelela mulodi ukaibala change suza mupeza kondaka ukaibala katundu sunga ipeza and then futi mulodi mapeza kati mapishana na polisi kokwera paja ungazichite. So customers bwerani mu station mukaskwera mu station.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Yango drivers' protest Monday almost turned deadly as the police had to call in enforcement to handle the aggrieved drivers. The protesting drivers brought traffic to a standstill at Mandayo Flyover Bridge at around 13 hours. In as many such protests, the drivers, using the taxi online application, are aggrieved that the company has not adjusted fares following the increment of fuel.
To the Minister of Transport and Logistics, but he has been quiet. We followed him. Tinaenda kwa office tapeleka maripoti taenda kwa, but Minister of Transport bagamba kuti no, you can delete the app. This the same app which you are saying we have to delete the app. They are feeding our families. So we are feeding our families from.
Notu yangu takana programs yangu takana yangu alipe pamoto kwa Mzambia muno. Pamoto kwa Tanzania bene baki haya. Afu nikakashingi. Tikashinga 2.5 matupini per week. Mamberaka yango government tax a demo yango partner na ebe yango a demo government demo takana.
The drivers have accused government through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics of paying a blind eye to their plight.
mutenga zapezeka 1 kilomita kwenda mutenga wapezeka kuti fuel uzalo mzinga fuel kapena ni 1 liter 1 liter ndema profit sipezeka nomanye zasebeza bwanje batari pakani concept ya kambango kama and the challenge that we have been now is like this guy I think drivers we need the Ango company to increase at least, because if you look the price of fuel it's now 34 kwacha point something, so that is now 35. Then you are carrying someone or about 24. You've seen those 4 people, they will claim about 20 kwacha. Then that same 20 kwacha you use the float and you need to fight bundles took time. Then you find that you are going just a short distance, it's 1.5. Then you are dead fact maybe it's about 2.5 kilometers. Then if you can walk 2.5 going that side, you cover about 3.5 kilometers, then you're getting to 20.
As at broadcast time, the Yango drivers had drove to the Ministry of Transport and Logistics to seek audience with the minister. Efforts to get a comment from the Ministry of Transport and Logistics proved futile, as both the phone of the minister and the communications department went unanswered. Mr. Tayari in January 2023 met the Yango drivers following intensified protests to resolve their issues, but the meeting ended in disagreement. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Those are some of the stories that we were looking at when it comes to the issue of Yango drivers protesting, as well as Kulimatawa bus station officials or bus drivers coming to a consensus that they're going to maintain the fair charge for the odd prices, regardless of the increment in terms of fuel that is there.
That's a wow. It is a wow.
You're surprised?
Yeah. How? Because mostly when there is increment in fuel prices, the first thing that we expect is bus drivers increase their prices, and for them to come to an agreement in such a manner, I think is commendable.
To the Yango drivers, but anyway,
before I go to that,
I think it is also commendable, because trust me, if you look at it reasonably, there's no need to increase a fare charge if you've been told for local routes it's 1 kwacha.
1 kwacha.
So meaning that if a bus was loading at 10 kwacha, you need to be loading at 11 kwacha now.
I mean, a customer always find an excuse not to have a 1 kwacha.
You know better, because I'm sure you've been in that position yourself. So
several times.
Several times.
Yeah.
And you're a chief negotiator.
No.
But we also saw, interesting enough, Yango drivers protest.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time that these drivers have protested. If you ask me, I think should be the 4th or
even more than that.
Or more than that.
Yeah.
And they've continued to say they're having poor conditions of service. And then I think one of the complaints also has been that when you look at the increment in terms of fuel, it doesn't mean that the owners of those vehicles are actually also going to reduce in terms of what they're supposed to pay weekly.
To cash in, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I think their complaint is valid. Their complaint is valid because I don't mean to say they should increase prices, but looking at the price ranges, I think with the fuel prices that were increased, I think their complaint is valid, because you are carrying someone for 20 kwacha at a distance where you consume 1 liter.
But again, at times, I am meant to believe the Yango or these other online hailing app have actually been operating depending with how business on a particular area is. Because of the instances where I'm trying to book this online taxi in the evening, simply because at that time business is booming. A distance where I normally pay 50 kwacha is going to be at 90 kwacha. A distance where I pay normally 40 kwacha is going to be more than that.
But how many times do we have such times in a day? And how many people do travel in those times? They are very few.
But again, one might argue to say, if you are not satisfied with the application, I mean, the services that are being offered by this online company, why not look for another that is?
And that's a response they are getting from government, and I'll tell you that they are not being realistic. They are not.
So, what should be a realistic person in this regard?
Government should call both sides and bring them to an agreement. I mean, as a leader, you can't just say, okay, do whatever you wish. No, I think there I can even face the minister to say, no, here you are wrong. There is not doing fine.
Bearing which authority?
As a citizen, sir.
As a citizen?
Yeah.
Well, you can also give us your perspective in terms of the two stories that we've played to you. Remember, this is the Camnet TV breakfast show on a Tuesday, and we've played two stories where younger drivers are actually protesting that they're being subjected to poor conditions of service, as well as Kulima Tower bus station drivers that have reached a consensus to say they're not increasing prices of different routes. They're going to maintain the old ones with the fare chart and ensure that business flourishes under an argument that, look, there's so much competition from those that are trading outside the bus station. So we want to ensure that we keep our market in check with the customers coming in at this odd price. But we hope to see if the drivers are going to adhere to that and how functional it's going to be.
I think for those operating in stations, specifically Kulima Tower, I think they'll obey to that, because those ones normally they operate under certain regulations. Yeah, but the issue is with our friends on the street.
But the issue is with your friends on the street. I don't know if they are your friends, but let's get to look at another story before I even.
All right, another story here. Young Women Christian Association YWCA has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to re-establish the Ministry of Gender to ensure adequate attention is given to various gender issues in the country. In an exclusive interview with Camnet TV, YWCA President Patricia Mubanga says the reinstatement of the ministry will enable women movements to have a voice in cabinet and foster change. Let's get to see more of that story in this clip.
According to the Zambia Police Victim Support Unit, during the fourth quarter of 2023, 11,746 reports of gender-based violence were recorded countrywide, out of which 8,451 were criminal cases, while 3,295 were non-criminal cases, translating to 71.9% and 28.1% respectively. 8,451 criminal cases were recorded during the period under review, as compared to 7,664 criminal cases recorded during the fourth quarter of 2022, showing an increase of 787 cases, translating to a 10.3% increase, with Lusaka recording the highest with 2,618 cases, and at the bottom, Northern Province with 131 GBV recorded cases. The gravity of the situation is the reason Young Women Christian Association YWCA is calling on the President of Zambia to re-establish the Ministry of Gender. Speaking in an interview, YWCA President Patricia Mubanga says the Ministry of Gender is a vital ministry in the fight against gender-based violence in Zambia.
Women's movement were also requesting that this year may there be a consideration for the President to consider to re-establish the Ministry of Gender. Once we have a voice in cabinet, this is going to be much easier for the women's movement to even effectively participate and have their voice heard in cabinet. We've been calling for all this. Even when CDF was increased, we've been calling for shelters, for centers where GBV cases can be handled. Yes, we have been given fast track courts, but they are not adequate for the country.
Ms. Mubanga has also noted the need for the Gender-Based Violence Fund to be actualized and serve its purpose in the fight against gender-based violence.
The Ministry of Gender is re-established. We also want to see the Gender Equality Commission, the Gender Equality and Equity Commission operationalized, because we are getting into quite a lot of problems that we cannot be able to handle. If we have a commission in place and with the re-established ministry, believe you me, all the mechanisms that we need are already there on the ground. We just need to hit the ground running. We also want the GBV fund to be actualized, because this is constitutional, together with the Gender Equality and Equity Commission. This is what the government has to fulfill, because there is a gap right now. This is why you see there's a number of cases increasing every time. Yes, we may attribute the increase to the awareness and sensitization, which is very good. But again, we also need to put in measures of prevention. And
the rise in GBV cases needs enhanced enforcement, community engagement, and support for victims from the public, civil society, and relevant stakeholders to collaborate in the fight against GBV and contribute to creating safer communities for all. Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
A story right there, right, on gender-based violence.
Yeah, a story on gender-based violence that is coming from YWCA, and this call has been there for a long period of time. For me, since the Newton government decided to remove the Minister of Gender, I think this call has been there.
For me, I think what stood out was the aspect of operationalizing the CDF, the GBV fund. I was almost jumping into the CDF. The CDF has been at the back of my, but look, there's this fund that is just made for GBV victims. So they need also to operationalize that and ensure that victims also get to benefit. But for me, my main concern is, we saw the numbers in terms of the statistics for GBV 2022 vis-a-vis 2023 being published by the Zambia police. I think also what should be of keen interest now is, how do we bridge in a gap, in as much as we advocate for GBV, but how about a man, how about a boy who's being abused?
I think most of the times we do ignore the issues that affect a boy child. I think in all aspects, you look at the school setup, we concentrated on, no, girls should do this, girls should, and in that quest we are neglecting a boy child. I think if this trend continues, in the near future we'll have a case where we'll start now advocating for a boy child because a girl is well protected already and a boy is neglected. So have that gap again.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with one of the boys home. Like, it seems like in today's world it's more of a girl and women centered, because if you've been beaten or battered, for instance, you are married by your wife and you go and report, some of the reactions that you're likely to get are that,
I want to get this from you. Are you willing, in case you are battered, God forbid, but in case you are battered, are you able to go to the police and report?
In case I'm battered, I don't wish to be battered anytime soon, or to be beaten by my spouse. But if that's the case, let the law take its course.
You are open enough to go to the police?
Very much.
And say I was beaten.
Exactly. Exactly, sir. But hey, that's a conversation that you can also join in and give us your perspective through the numbers on your screens. And right about now, we also get to look at some of the two stories that we have pertaining to the issue of Milli Mill, where governance and human rights activist expert Wesley Mianda has accused the Zambian National Service of betraying public trust following continued allegations of smuggling its Milimil brand. Speaking in an interview, Mr. Mianda says ZNS has been entrusted with a mandate to supply to the country with Milimil as well as import for the DRC market, but instead it is exporting the Zambian brand. We also get to look at a story done by one Vincent Piri on government being calling on all citizens, regardless of their political affiliation, to apply for empowerment schemes under the Constituency Development Fund. Speaking when she dispersed CDF empowerment loans to 51 beneficiaries in Matera constituency, Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu reiterated that CDF is meant for every Zambian. We get to look at those stories, and we'll be back on the other side. We continue the discussion, and well, you are trying to corner me with GBB, but let's get to look at CDF, sir.
Chingwala chibampa bunga direta ba security chira bombe ba ZNS ba estate ba letu afwa e ba letu bunga ba letu ala mukongo.
The Zambia National Service is again in another controversy barely days after rejecting the allegations of selling genetically modified Milimil on the Zambian market. This time around, ZNS is accused of smuggling its Eagles brand Milimil to the much sought after market in the Democratic Republic of Congo under the disguise of imported South African brand. The unverified videos of Chilawombe residents impounding trucks laden with ZNS Milimil have been widely shared on social media.
So that those that are giving them permits and whatever they are getting should come and explain to us, because we cannot let the people, the residents of Chilawombe, suffer at the expense of people that are here to make money.
The mix in South African Milimil. Nishina mutobe funde because we want pass paper parati work South Africa museli.
But nobody is going to let you go. You're not going anywhere.
So you'll be here. If ZNS are playing game with you, us we don't play games.
Reacting to the incident, Lusaka-based governance and human rights expert Wesley Mianda has described the conduct of ZNS as a betrayal of public trust.
But it's unfortunate that after giving permit to ZNS to import Milimil from South Africa, which they are exporting to Congo DR, they have decided to even pounce on the Milimil that they're producing meant for Zambians. And this actually is not settling well, because that is total corruption.
Mr. Mianda has urged government through the Minister of Defense Ambrose Rufuma to bring to order ZNS, as its conduct is unacceptable at a time when Zambians are struggling with the high cost of living.
The Minister of Defense, Honorable Ambrose Rufuma, and Lieutenant General Solochi, the ZNS commander, I think should look into this issue and see how best they can contain, they can control their officers. Because we cannot continue complaining. We cannot continue receiving these complaints from people over the high prices of essential commodities, especially staple food, which is the shima. We also talk about the high prices of fuel. So we are saying this institution should add value to the governance system of this country.
Efforts to get a comment from government chief spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa Okupa Belt Minister Elisha Matambo proved futile, as both their phones went unanswered. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
These are among the 51 latest beneficiaries of the loans under the 2023 Constituency Development Fund in Lima Ward 30 of Matero constituency. Matero Member of Parliament Mao Sampa and Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu handed over a check worth 3,227,495 kwacha under the 2023 allocation. Gracing the event, Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu called on all Zambians, regardless of their political affiliation, to actively participate in empowerment schemes under the Constituency Development Fund.
This government does not choose. As you have heard, Honorable Mao Sampa is PF. Which are one side? The government which is giving money to this constituents so that the Honorable Member of Parliament can reach the people is the UPND government, New Deal government. Let us make use of the CDF. CDF, as the MP said, it does not choose who is receiving it, who is using. New Deal.
Meanwhile, Material Member of Parliament Mao Sampam advised the beneficiaries to use the funds prudently and for the intended purpose.
Mairo mwenda mkuzichosa. Manjoro muzazi chosa ni kuchitira business ya mene mwa takupasa ni approve. Ukazisendesa mwina la mulo ni shupanya futi. Ndabasinde lama zanga, sizako ndalama za boma. Wakutangiza kutuchite business. So make sure ndalama mukashimbo mfyefi ya mwachitira apply. Ababemba batira ati pakwaka n'obulunga tapa bensoni abena chipata watu, that means pogawa na unga oseka ponsoni. Meaning is in drama is choka ku UPND government oseka ponsoni olosinwe UPND ni kutantama nifuna kwa drama pakuti drama ukazitenga yakupasa business drama za mbokena mu account ushezi zakalangiza kwa nezi zinachokera zinacho UPND.
Limawat 30 Councillor Dan Omwerwa, who represented the beneficiaries, thanked the government for the gesture and disclosed that one of the beneficiaries is an ex-convict.
Among the 51, Madam Guest of Honor, the Honorable Member of Parliament made sure, together with his team, that one applicant who applied, who served in jail for many, many years, he applied to get a loan to do poultry. As a committee, we thought, no, so he's actually among the 51 and is earmarked to get 50,000 kwacha to venture into poultry.
Those who have benefited are short of words other than thank you to the government.
Let's apply for 100,000. Nichita tailoring.
Mutunga cha?
Na school uniforms na vitenge. Na vosia na sia na family.
Também muito meta ver votenga votar benefits para vandrama. So at least china muntu ngambera bwino shawama because shindrama shakwa for muntu wonse. Ndafu ko thanks for many bonds ba mena for na business whether you have two business.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Yesterday we talked issues relating to CDF in Rigankata district of Southern Province, and today we're talking about CDF in Material, where 51 beneficiaries have actually seen the impact of this fund coming to their need. You are on hand to ensure that you get to understand what was ongoing in Material. Any other information that we might have missed out in the report?
Not really, but what's interesting is that there is one man who benefited, is an ex-prisoner, and he got, if I'm not mistaken, 100,000. Yeah. And also another interesting aspect was there is someone who applied for CDF who is getting, it should be, if I'm not mistaken, 50,000, and he wants to venture into garbage collection, and he's motivated by the fact that there is cholera in the city, and he wants to help in the fight against cholera by venturing into that business.
Yeah, quite interesting, so to speak. But also, I think one of the disheartening stories that we also got to play was the fact that Milimil branded ZNS is being smuggled into DR Congo, and surprisingly so, it is being mixed with a brand from South Africa.
I think this wing of the security has to clear itself on that one. I think the Zambian people deserve to know exactly what's happening around the ZNS Milimil. This is what caused some time back people to start not trusting the Zambia police, if you remember. And they've started gaining the trust just in a few years. And if you have such cases now from a wing that is well respected, I think they need to clear themselves up and come out to the public and explain exactly what happened before the Zambian people start losing trust. Otherwise.
Anyway, so those are some of the bunch of stories that we've also played for you, but do remember that even before we went on to play those two other stories, we were talking issues relating to ZBV, and I was busy telling my friend in the background to say, someone who loves you can't beat you. But those are some of the stories that you too can also give us a comment on. Remember that we're streaming live on our Facebook platform as well as YouTube, and you can give us all those comments and also utilize the numbers on your screens, because we'd also like to hear from you. Now let's look at the last set of the stories from my end. Is 62 junkies aged between 20 and 40 years have been arrested in an operation conducted in Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound in Mtendere East. Zambia Police Service spokesperson Ray Hamonga confirmed the development and says the operation was also extended to Baoleni compound. He says among the 62 junkies apprehended, one is female. Mr. Hamonga explains that all those arrested have been charged with idle and disorderly conduct. Interesting. Someone at 40 years are being regarded as a junkie.
You know the question I have now? The issue of publicity around CDF. Yes, junkies, we regard them as they can't do anything in communities. But if we train these people, I think they can be useful to our society.
Anyway, before you even give us your thought, let's get to look at those other stories that you have.
Okay, so the story
I might counteract.
Okay, the story I have here is the Teaching Service Commission member Clement Sinyinda has resigned from his position, citing President Hakainde Hichilema's sentiments that there is no country called Baloseland. Mr. Sinyinga says he found President Hichilema's January 18th sentiments as disrespectful to the Litunga and was hopeful that he could apologize, but to no avail. Speaking during a press conference in Lusaka Monday morning, Mr. Sinyinda says he has resigned from his position to go back to Western Province and be with his people. Let's get to see more of the two stories in these following clips.
Central Police, Woodlands and Mtendere police stations on the 3rd of February 2024 between 09:30 and 16 hours conducted a collaborative operation to apprehend individuals engaged in criminal activities commonly known as junkies. The targeted areas were Kalikiliki compound and Mtendere East compounds. The joint operation yielded success in resulting in the arrest of 62 individuals aged between 20 and 40 years, comprising of 61 males and 1 female. All the arrested persons are currently facing charges of idle and disorderly conduct. They are undergoing screening for additional offences. The detained individuals are currently being held at Mtendere Police Station and Kalikiliki Police Post. Further, the operation team extended its effort to Baoleni compound to ensure that these criminal activities are comprehensively dealt with. The Zambia Police Service remains committed to maintaining public safety and will continue conducting such initiatives to tackle societal challenges.
And I quote, P.S. Acapella, there is no country called Western Province or Baroseland. End of quote. I had to ponder and wait to hear whether you would be remorseful enough to apologize to the Litunga, the Kuta, and indeed the people of Baroseland. But alas, I haven't heard anything to that effect. I consider this as being disrespectful to the Litunga, to the Kuta, and the people of Baroseland. As a result of this, I have today, the 5th of February 2024, decided to resign from your government as a commissioner from the Teaching Service Commission and go back to my people and the country, Baroseland, with immediate effect. So kindly take this information, especially this piece of advice, to all the people of Zambia. Let us not comment anyhow on the issue of Baroseland. Why? Because it is sensitive.
Those were some of the two stories that we looked at, the Barotse issue as well as issue relating to junkies in Mutendere. And so to say, I know those that were arrested are from Kadikidiki compound of Mutendere East, but this is a big issue altogether. It affects all the residents in Mutendere compound, if you ask me. And so to say, for us to also get an insight or get first-hand information in terms of how is the situation of junkies in Mutendere compound, we are joined by the councillor in Mr. Boniface Chibeka, who is Mutendere Ward 34 councillor, this morning, just to help us understand in terms of how they are also putting in issues relating to combating these junkies that are there. Good morning, Mr. Chibeka.
Good morning, and good morning, viewers.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Yes, I know on Sunday about 62 junkies were arrested between aged 20 and 40 years in Mutendere East area. But let's pick it up from there. How is the situation in your area when it comes to the issues of junkies?
Thank you very much. I would like first of all to put a record very straight that even though the issue is about Mutendere East, which is under Karikiriki Ward, people of Mutendere East and Mutendere Main are one. So those junkies, I would say that they migrate. They are the same team. We have them, and I wouldn't be surprised that among those, maybe majority, even from Mutendere. No wonder why, if you look at it, that all those who are arrested, majority are actually at Mutendere station. We have junkies, and I would like to commend even the police. I think their works are now being seen, unlike previously, where they are just all over. But of late, when I say previous, I'm talking about maybe in the last 1 to 2 years. But of late, I think they have upped their game, and we are seeing results over the issues of junkie as well as drug trafficking in Mutendere.
Yes, there was also that issue, I do remember, where there were these persons that were referred to as Maflafi. Is the situation changing with also the presence of the police in the area?
I think that's a terminology which has changed, but the people we used to refer to fluffies are the same people we are referring to as junkies. They are not. There's no difference. It's just a terminology which has actually transversed into another term.
Yes. But also, let's get to look at the age in terms of these people that have been termed as junkies. For instance, we've got over 20 to 40 years. Now, someone at 40 should be regarded as a junkie. Don't you feel there are certain solutions that you can bring about, you being a civic leader within the community?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, can even be 60 years, because junkism is the state of, in fact, it's a social status of somebody's conduct and what he does in the public. As for a civic leader, what we can do, of course, there is the issue of free education. We also have skills development where people can freely enroll, and also when we talk about skills, the target is that when after leaving the college of skills, is somebody to be empowered, like for example welding, so that somebody can be working on their own. After all, beyond that, we also have CDF loans, we also have grants where even they can even get capital out of that and start doing something sensible and become responsible citizens. So as a civic leader, we are trying to teach people so that they come on board as a normal members of the society, not the way they are doing it as junkies. Because others, in fact, majority is by choice that they are doing what they are doing. Then others, they've been coerced, because those drugs they take, it's like, of course, there's a return, but the way it has happened is that it's like once somebody is on those drugs, there's no return. But I can say that there's a return. We have Chainama there just in Mutendere Ward, which is a rehabilitation center. But people have got that kind of thing of thinking that, oh, when somebody goes to Chainama is mad or what. They don't look at it in a positive way, that that Chainama Hills Hospital is a rehabilitation center, not for mad people, but for mentally challenged people.
Okay. I'm interested to know what happens to these people we call junkies when they are arrested, because the concern over time has been when these people are rounded up, they are taken into cells, and the following day or two they are released without any form of rehabilitation or whatsoever.
Thank you very much. To start with, I'm appealing again to members of public. If you've been attacked, if your property has been stolen by non-people, most of them, they just like complaining without opening a docket with the police. So when those are arrested, then members of the public, they are supposed to bring up their issue so that the police can screen. If you look at the media, in fact, they are saying the police actually have rounded up them, then they are screening them one by one. Now, if you know that this one is a criminal, he stole my TV, they attacked me, but you did not bring to the official attention of the police, how are they going to make sure the case goes to court? It can't be done. So members of the public must learn to report their cases and make sure that the docket is opened, so that whenever a junkie or any other would-be offender is caught, they should be able to bring it up so that that person goes before the courts of law and his matter being adjudicated accordingly.
Okay, now I think I'll take you to the issues of sewer leakages and water leakages also in your ward. I think this has been prominent over time.
Yes, I agree with you. In fact, I feel that your question has been understated. We have a lot of sewer spillage, fecal sludge, especially in Helen Kaunda. It's a situation whereby Lusaka Water is taking time for it to come and clear that fault. I don't know the reason behind, because what I know is that the people of Mtendere Ward, the people of Helen Kaunda, they pay bills to Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company. After paying bills, then that company employs people so that they can be attending to such matters, but it takes them a lot of time for them to come. Despite having cholera, it's like Lusaka Water and sewerage. To them, cholera is a myth, because if it is not a myth, why are they taking long to fix the sewer spillages in Helen Kaunda? Right now, as I'm talking to you, we've got sewer spillages in Helen Kaunda, and a group of residents today, actually, they were even planning to go at their offices to complain why it takes long, because right now we've got fecal matter all over the place, and this is a cholera time. Yes, so the Lusaka Water and Sanitation, I would like to appeal to them that Helen Kaunda is part of Mtendere. Helen Kaunda is part of
the aspect of junkies. Okay. The aspect of junkies. Okay. Is it that part of the solution is getting money using CDF to ensure that you train these so-called junkies into better citizens, and also issue of identifying them, a route that you are taking as civic leaders within that community?
Thank you very much. To start with, the issue of junkies, we can't run away with it. Number one is drug. Drug trafficking and drug consumption is what is at the center stage. So for us to deal with it, we've got experts in the name of Drug Enforcement Commission. I'm appealing to Drug Enforcement Commission to come on board with their programs. I've seen on other media platforms where drug enforcement is teaching here and there, rehabilitating people. Why are they shunning Mtendere? I've been calling upon them to come to Mtendere. Let the DC do their work very correctly. If they do their work very correctly, the issue of junkies will be the thing of the past. We may just have some common thieves, but not to have a situation where we have drunk, because it's a situation where somebody doing something is not even cautious that he's doing something bad. That person can even kill you. Look what happened in Mtendere East, where they killed that taxi driver. They are not even conscious that they are doing that because of the intake of illicit drugs. They are in a junkie state, like people are walking but in a vegetative state. That's what they are. So which is they are a clear danger to our society.
Let's also tackle the issue of cholera. I know for a fact that also time is not our best friend, but I would also like to get a reaction from you. There's been a concern that for some time you are part of the Lusaka City Council, and residents of Mutendere have been told to put garbage at a particular place. For instance, outside Mahatma Gandhi ground. But for some time, garbage keeps on piling up without the Lusaka City Council collecting. And then people now are scared that they might be contracting the outbreak of cholera. Your comment on this issue?
Yeah, thank you very much. To start with, I would like to appreciate Her Worship, the Mayor of the Greater City of Lusaka, Madam Chando Chitanga, to come on board. Last Saturday, we cleaned part of Mtendere, and also I'm appreciating the citizens, shop owners, and marketeers who participated in the cleaning. And the Lusaka City Council provided the transportation of the debris as well as the garbage, which was of course thrown out indiscriminately. Yeah, so talking to Mahatma Gandhi ground, I've been the noisiest council, I think, over Mahatma Gandhi ground. Council have been picking. Of course, I cannot say they pick every day. They pick afterwards, and it's not a designated place to dump garbage there. That place, those who take it there actually are illegal dumpers. What is we expect and they expected is that we have CBEs, community-based enterprises, small companies in Mtendere who collect garbage door to door at a particular fee as prescribed. Then people are supposed to subscribe with the CBE. Of course, it cannot be 100% service, but that small percentage which is not part of the CBE transaction are what ends up garbage at Mahatma Gandhi ground. Even me, I'm scared for cholera, and I'm calling upon the Lusaka Council again, because on Saturday I told them that we should clean Mahatma Gandhi ground, but they couldn't do it. They said for a later stage. But what we said for a later date, the disease cholera, typhoid, and other diarrheal infection do not wait for another date. They do not procrastinate, while us we procrastinate when to collect garbage. It's a serious thing for cholera, it's a serious thing for dysentery, typhoid, and other infectious and diarrheal diseases. I agree with you that we are not doing much over that issue.
Just close to Mahatma Gandhi's library.
Yes.
That is there. And one of the same issues is that garbage and people that are dumping garbage to the same library. And then one of the topical issues or the concern now is the fact that there's someone who's just operating a nightclub or a bar just nearby, disturbing those that go to study.
Thank you very much.
Action that she's likely to be taken.
Thank you very much. It's not Mahatma Gandhi Library. It's Council Library. Yes, near Mahatma Gandhi ground. Yes, to be specific on the location. Then in terms of garbage, I think we have scored that area. If you look at that area, if you've been there recently, there's somebody who is even doing gardening, who is keeping that place very nice. There's even a borehole there. They are even able to, it's operational, and there's a garden. So in terms of garbage around the council library, that one is done deal. The only thing we are still struggling with, of course we have tried, is Mahatma Gandhi ground. But for the library, it's now cool. Then for the issue of the night clubs, in terms of somebody operating the nightclub, I think I need to inspect that. I'm not aware at the moment. The only nightclub I know there, which is also an illegal one, because when I say illegal, it's not near the ground. When I say it's illegal, it means that it does not have appropriate papers. Because where something has the appropriate papers, you cannot label it as illegal. That would be mischievous, definitely. But that one is illegal because it doesn't have papers are inspected, and then I even reported to public health that we've got this. Now, the unfortunate thing we have in our community is that immediately the council enters into an area to do their operation, people will start communicating. Oh, what council Abuela? Then people start closing.
Don't you feel that this is now the time to change strategy? Because I've seen this happen for a lot of areas.
Yeah.
For instance, Mandevu.
Yes.
They start from Chaisa. By the time they reach pattern,
everyone is gone.
Everyone is gone.
I don't know that is whether the advantage or disadvantage of a mobile phone. Whenever enforcement is to be done, people would have communicated the whole area. Yes. So for me, I also feel that maybe some of the officers among the council officers, maybe they are the ones who even communicate. Yeah, because even me as a councillor, I don't even know that whether the council today will be in the area or not. Yes, but sometimes I get a phone, even from members of the public, at what council right? But I don't know. Yes. And the short time you see them, so how do they know? Maybe even the council officers themselves are the people who are rating them. So those operations, if the council, they really need, number one, to employ very good employees who are faithful to the institution and faithful to the cause why they are doing that. Otherwise, other than that, the council find it very difficult. Because me as a councillor, even if I go, I find an illegal night club operating, I'm not a law enforcer. It's outside my mandate. I'll be beaten or doing what? Then everybody will say, what was the councillor doing? Yes, my mandate as a councillor to Lusaka City Council is a police maker, not a police implementer. No. Thank you very much. Okay,
I think in the interest of time, I'm interested to know how CDF is doing in your ward.
Thank you very much. When we say CDF, of course it starts from
constituency.
I would say when I became a councillor. Yes, when I became a councillor, of course we had the CDF money, but that money was 1 point something. It was there and it was used, I think, for the clinic in Karikiriki ward, near Salama Park, somewhere there. Then in 2022, that's when we saw the budget going up. So part of the CDF trickled down, because by then in 2020, the other CDF had already built a police station in Mtendere called the Mtendere Police Station. Yes, so in 2022, we had 1x3 classroom block at Chainama Special School. It is there actually. Then we also have a road from Kazimai Market, clinic to Msonda until Chitukuko, it crosses over to Niza Road. That is for 2022 CDF. And apart from that, we had some grading of other roads. Then for 2023, we are doing Church Road near Catholic there. Then we also have Mahatma Gandhi ground maintenance. I don't know why up to now it hasn't started. We have Mahatma Gandhi ground, which needs to be standardized actually. The way it is actually I would say it's an assault ground, whereby instead of somebody enjoying football and showcase real skills, but the ground is likely to assault our players in the state in which it is. So it will be upgraded. Then there's a road right now where at Old Zambif, passing through Maiseri, Mahatma Gandhi to PHI. That one right now, if you go there, you won't even manage to pass because the roadworks have even started. And also at near Zambith there, before it goes to Maiseni, is also to cure the problem of junkies, because that's their corner. So we are doing that road so that vehicles can now be passing smoothly. Whether that deck of the police, then that corner is, of course, it's disarmed. That corner, they will no longer be there, because as it is, even a vehicle, by the time the vehicle reaches there, they would have spotted it miles away. But immediately we do that, the vehicle will be smooth. Already they are worried that this road is now being maintained. We could tell their faces that what's going on. They are asking through their facial expression. Then apart from that, we also have from Georgetown to Amos Church into Karikiriki, which will be coming to Karikiriki Police. That's there for 2024. Then the only thing I'm disappointed, and still disappointed and very disappointed, is the issue of desks. There's a free education. So majority of parents have withdrawn their children, their pupils from private schools into the convention government education system, which is free. Even those who are not going to school because of lack of funds, they have gone back to school. Now, where are they going to be sitting? Right now, classes are full, then they are sitting on the floor. And it said the money is there. So, why are desks from 2022? Up to now, we don't have intended. Some classes have been literally closed, whereby pupils are now being fixed in one class because they don't have desks. Up to now, they say, oh, this supplier, that supplier, up to now. I think I'm appealing for government of the local government minister to come in to check why, and even finance minister to come in to check if money was released. How come from 2020, this is now 2024, we don't have desks in Mtendere? That one I'm very disappointed as a civic leader who people voted to speak for them. I'm speaking for the people of Mtendere one. We have 6 schools in Mtendere. Unlikely, for example, our colleague in Kalingalinga, there's only 1 school. But in Mtendere, Karikirikwa does no school. All the pupils, they come to Mtendere. So in Mtendere, we have 6 schools. So people are sitting on the floor. We need desks in Mtendere. They are Zambian citizens who need to be treated with dignity, especially where government money has been released for that cause. Shall we have desks? That's all, as simple as that.
Yeah, but your concluding remarks, even as we get to wrap up the show today, we know that time is not really our best friend, and we would like to call it a day.
I would love to appeal to the people of Mtendere, of course even other people, that cholera is real. Let's avoid handshakes. Let's avoid chimpwena for handshakes, that that's when you see that you know how to greet. Then avoid buying food from the streets, especially prepared food. And also for the government, Minister of Health, to do something with the people along Karikiriki stream. Majority of the cholera patients, cholera victims who have been tested with the disease are coming from along the Karikiriki stream, and people are discharging their pit latrines. They've built pit latrines along the stream, and they are discharging pit latrines in the stream, and their fecal matter in the stream. So I'm appealing for Ministry of Health and Public Health of Lusaka Council to follow up this information so that our people are safe and we are all safe. That is my earnest appeal.
Mr. Chibeka, we do appreciate your company today. Nelson, I think that's where we have to end our day. I must say that it's been a fruitful Tuesday. Yeah.
And hopefully our viewers out there also have had a fruitful Tuesday with us, and this is what we call it today. Thank you for making a date with us and having breakfast on a Tuesday with Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Bye-bye.